You may start whenever, Mayor.
Thank you, Mike. Let me get rid of this. Okay, and Bobby, there's Bobby. Thank you. I call the meeting to order, City of University Heights, Iowa City Council meeting, October 11th, 2022. The meeting is being conducted electronically on Zoom tonight, and all 5 council are present. First, I want to welcome our guest, Abby Brown, who's representing Steve for Left Loffer. Welcome, Abby. And Jessica Johnson from ECOG. Thanks for attending tonight. Approval of minutes, September 13th. They were circulated by Mike. Are there any additions or corrections? Hearing none, the minutes are approved by unanimous consent. Public input. I see we have some members of the public. Would anyone like to speak tonight? Okay, Deb.
Okay, I'll make it brief.
Say your name and address quickly for
Sure.
us.
Deb Penwall, 100 Kozer. My husband Warren is here also. He might also speak for just a minute or so. We thank you for doing the studies for speeding. We still have a problem, especially since the speed trailer was removed. The speeding immediately increased. We've been trying for over 10 years to have something done about this. We sit at an area where we see the speeding more than anyone else does because we're right in the middle of a hill. Warren's retired. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Mike's retired. Mary's retired. That's why you're hearing from us most often, because we see it all day long. More time and money has been spent not doing something about this issue than just giving us a sign that would alert people to how fast they're going. And I know, Doug, you mentioned last time that people see that and then they start ignoring it, but that's not the case. As soon as that trailer went away, majority of the people sped up again. So no, it's not catching everybody. You're always going to have somebody who speeds, but it's going to catch quite a few people. And the problem is we want this city to be more owner occupied. And one of the ways to do that is to help slow down the traffic on our street. We had 2 families who have small children who thought they were in their forever homes move away because of the speeding on the street. We want to stay here. We want to age in place, and we would like other people to also want to be owner occupied on this street as well. And Warren just has a comment about the numbers from last time.
Well, just a couple things. And again, I think the reason that you hear just kind of from us and maybe the gays on the one side, and I know Mary Panther agrees, you know, we're right in the middle between the stop sign that's up on George and the stop sign that's down on Melrose. So we're right in the middle there where people pick up speed and then they brake as they get a little further down the street. But it's just a continuing problem. You know, we've been asking for something, and I know we've had the speed trailer, and I know the police patrol, but I really think we need something permanently done. And I think a speed sign, like Deb mentioned, would help. You see them around a lot. You see them in other communities. You know, the traffic study was done, and I understand that it didn't justify, for several reasons, why a stop sign wasn't needed at Highland and Kozer. But again, you know, the numbers that they had, that they cited on that, I think they said, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think it was at the 80th percentile, cars were driving 29 miles an hour. Well, Kozer's posted at 20. And if the 80th percentile is 28 or 29 miles an hour, that means 20% of the cars were going in excess of that. And I think that was on a population of 500 cars in the morning and 500 cars in the evening. So that translates to a couple hundred cars a day going 29 miles an hour or faster up and down the street. So I really think there's a case to do something. And I appreciate the speed trailer. I appreciate the police patrol. But I think we need to do something a little more permanent, as we've discussed. I think Chief Kelsey, last time you mentioned, you know, possibly the photo enforcement. You know, we've talked about speed bumps. There always, you know, a reason maybe why they can't be done, but it sure seems like one of those radar signs that post your speed would be doable.
And you know, on top, we understand that, you know, we put one on Kozer, everyone's going to want one, but maybe there's justification for the number of cars that are going down a specific street, you know, streets that we're a local cut through. We get a lot of traffic all day long. Maybe streets that get a lot of traffic like Sunset, Melrose, Tozer are justified in getting a sign like that. I think that's all we'd like to say.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you
guess-
for your, oh,
Okay.
go ahead. You wanted to
Oh.
add something?
Yeah, so I think how can we move forward in trying to request as a radar sign that would be permanent going up and down Tozer. The other thing is too, the placement of the speed signs, the 20-mile-per-hour signs are too close to the intersections. They're very difficult for people to see. They're negotiating the corner.
The actual signs.
And you don't notice the signs. They need to be placed a little further down on the road. So,
Thank you. Thank
okay.
you very much. I know the council and I appreciate your input. I want to suggest that possibly the police committee, if council agrees, see, we don't usually discuss this right now during the meeting. We get public input and we want public input. But I think it'd be good for the police committee and the chief, you know, with the chief, get together and maybe another council member and discuss some of this. Do you agree, Steph?
Sure, absolutely.
And maybe someone else on council would like to volunteer to serve on that. We can
If
have
I
two
might.
council members.
If I might make a suggestion,
Yes,
Mayor?
please.
I had, as Warren referenced, I had at one of my recent trainings had looked at some equipment that possibly could be used to address it. And since that there would be a financial aspect to that too, if Councillor Scott is available to serve on that, I think that that would dovetail nicely because there will both be a financial aspect and a public safety aspect.
Bobby, do
Yeah.
you have time now?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So
All right.
we'll, go ahead, Bobby. I'm sorry.
Nope, not at all. I just said yes. That's great.
Okay, thank you so much. So we'll have this subcommittee look into it and see what, if anything can be done and what can be done. Thank you.
All
All
right,
right,
thank you very
thanks.
much. Appreciate you listening.
Sure. Anyone else would like to speak to the council tonight? I don't see any other public present. Okay.
Pat,
we'll
Pat
go-
Yegi's trying to join right now. It's kind of been stuck in a loop here, so she may be coming in and shortly, and I'll let you know when she does, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Okay, we'll go on to Mayor's report. And first is the resolution 2232. And this is approving fund transfers, and Steve Cool is here tonight to discuss some of that before adopting the resolution. Steve?
Okay, thanks, Louise. Yeah, the purpose of this resolution is to approve the final transfers for the books for the fiscal year 2022. So I can proceed with preparing the annual financial report, which will be on the agenda for the November council meeting. That report needs to be approved and filed with the state auditor by December 1st. So anyway, this is the final step to approve the transfers. The resolution spells out 3 current transfers that need to be approved, as well as on the Exhibit A, the first transfer listed. Those are for the debt service transfer authorizations that we do in December and June of each year to authorize the payment of the semi-annual interest and then the annual principal on the long-term debt. So those are the required transfers from hotel motel tax and special assessments to debt service. So this is just being reconfirmed and approved. Those transfers have already been approved in the past. Okay, the rest of the resolution pertains to items 2, 3, and 4 on the exhibit. These are the final fund transfers. I'm just going to they're pretty self-explanatory. Number two, all of the payroll taxes and employee benefits get paid out of the employee benefits fund during the year, and we have a tax levy for that. The tax levy is based on the original budget that we file, which pretty much does not have very much overtime in it. And so this last past year, the police performed several hours of service to other units and so forth. I don't have the exact number, but it's somewhere around $50,000, give or take, altogether. So out of that, when Troy bills, say the University Hospital or whoever, if that's billed at $55 an hour, the split on that is $44 for salaries and $11 for payroll taxes. So when we get the money from whoever we've billed, all the receipts go into the general fund, and the general fund is holding that money for the extra payroll taxes that we've paid there for the year. So this is just to collapse those all into the general fund. Let's see, item number 3, according to the TIF agreement, 2016, 5% of the TIF receipts each year are retained and transferred into the general fund from the TIF fund. Those monies are held for future TIF projects. And the 4th entry here, it was about 4 or 5 years ago, the city got this $246,000 plus from lot sales in the Olive Court area, and that money was used for the capital project that was completed in fiscal year 21. This transfer is also made because in July, the city sold the bonds to get the final proceeds against that project, as well as the Gulfview Avenue project. So these are just transfers on paper, no change in the cash balance whatsoever. And then the last thing, this was just another item of note, not actually part of the resolution. For the last couple of years with the hotel motel tax, we've been allocating budget the possibility of using some hotel motel tax money to pay for some street repairs and also a subsidy towards snow removal. As you recall, last month when I gave the road use tax report, the city took in more road use tax money than expected, and our expenses were not near as much. So it was most prudent to just use the road use tax money for those expenses all together and save the hotel motel money for future projects down the road. So that's everything that's covered by this resolution.
Any questions for Steve? I just noticed, I think there's a typo on the resolution number. Shouldn't it be 3222? Should it be reversed?
No, 33 is correct.
33?
32 is correct. I'm sorry. 33 is the ARPA grant. We really are up that high.
Yeah, but we put the 22 on the end for the year. Do we do it that way? Am I like, I could be losing it, everybody. I mean, I've only been doing this for, I don't want to say, but so the year's first. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. I want to make sure that's right because we have to file that resolution. Thank you.
Oh, I add my name to my phone.
Do you want me to make a motion to approve that?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll motion to approve resolution number 2232.
I'll second.
Motion by Bobby and second by Steph. Is that right? Did I get that right? Okay. Any discussion? Okay, roll call vote.
Gahn,
Aye.
Moore,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Swales.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. And thanks, Steve, for
Oh, you're
coming.
welcome. I'll see you next month then.
Yep, see you then. Now we have consideration of resolution 2233. Oh my goodness. That's the right way. The year is first and then the number. Okay, and this is reimbursement grants under University Heights ARPA Business Recovery Grant based upon recommendations from ECOG. And I invited Jessica Johnson tonight, who she sent ahead a very in-depth report, and she's here to answer questions. Jessica, did you want to talk about the process at all? Just, I know council has read everything, all the details, but did you want to talk about an item or two?
Sure, I'm happy. I'll just go ahead and thanks for having me tonight. I'll just go ahead and provide a quick summary. So as you're aware, due to the particular disruption of businesses that rely on the physical presence of customers and foot traffic, the city is allocating $80,000 of its ARPA funding for grants to facilitate the recovery and future resilience of storefront businesses located in University Heights. On August 9th of 2022, the city of University Heights engaged the East Central Iowa Council of Governments, ECOG, to administer the University Heights ARPA Business Assistance Program. Applications for grant funding were due to ECOG by September 30th. 4 applications were received. All of the applications met the basic criteria for eligibility, which included operating as a for-profit business in the city of University Heights. They all had have a commercial storefront presence and rely on sales generated from foot traffic or more than 50% of revenue prior to the COVID-19 pandemic. And they have no conflicts of interest as defined in the University Heights ARPA policy. Each business presented a compelling explanation of the adverse impact of COVID-19 and how the business will be helped with the economic recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Each business has clearly explained how it will use the funds and the expenditures are justified. It is our recommendation that each business receives $20,000 in funding for the activities that will expand the capacity of their businesses to build and expand their ability to provide goods and services, as well as to enhance, increase, and or create revenue streams for new expenses or projects to assist with the recovery from the economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Jessica? Okay, Jessica, this resolution provides that they enter into grant agreements. The council will enter these 4 business into grant agreements. And then could you talk about the next steps a little bit?
Yes, so the businesses will enter into the agreements with the city. And then from that point on, that will be in November, sorry. And then December 2022 to June 2023, the businesses will make the expenses or make the purchases and then submit their receipts for reimbursement. We will be providing a report monthly to the city for the city to approve with those expenses and the receipts. And then the program will end in July of 2023 and the businesses will submit closeout reports.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
So if there are not any questions, is there a motion to approve resolution 2232?
I'll make a motion, Louise.
Okay, motion by Stephanie. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Tim. Discussion. Okay, roll call vote.
Moore,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Scott,
Aye.
Swales,
Aye.
Gone.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Thank you. Thanks, Jessica, for attending tonight.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate it. Next, we'll go to the city attorney report, and under legal report, we have discussion of recommendation from Board of Adjustment concerning zoning ordinance provisions related to permissible uses of garage and other accessory structures. Steve gave a very good report of what happened with the Board of Adjustment and all the letters and things. But I want to recommend to council that this agenda item with the Board of Adjustment and also the golf cart ordinance, that I think these carry a lot more issues also, and I'd like to see a work session this month in which Steve Ballard would be in attendance, and that we'd be able to advertise and get more public input. And then we could have an in-depth discussion about tailgating and even a history of tailgating the past 15, 20 years. And I think it's very helpful if Steve Ballard would be here for this. And Steve agreed with this, and I suggested a date of Tuesday, October 25th at 7 p.m. I don't know if that works for you. And first of all, would the council consider my recommendation? And then we'll discuss if we have a work session. A work session is different than a special meeting. A special meeting is similarly like a council meeting. You make decisions. A work session is a little more informal, and there's no decisions made. There's planning made and open discussion. I mean, I do control the public somewhat, but it's more of an open discussion. And I think we need to have an in-depth discussion about lots of these issues. I'm not sure where all the council stands on this and these different issues. And
Louise,
I think it'd be helpful to have Steve here. Yeah. Hi, Bobby.
as it relates to the Board of Adjustments conversation and, the use of the detached garage or whatever, I think for that one, for me, I'm definitely, on board for waiting. What, related to the golf cart specifically, and how does that relate to tailgating, I guess, exactly? Was that what you were recommending or suggesting?
Well, I don't know are you talking about golf carts 24/7 all the time or just during football? I mean, I only see golf carts during football. I thought that was part of, we've discussed it over the years with tailgating, and the council just said no.
Well, I guess
last time. So I thought it was tailgating associated, but it doesn't have to be.
Right. Well, the short story on what I was going to talk about tonight is just basically the state of Iowa has regulations and code, I guess, regarding this. And my thinking is we just adopt whatever the state of Iowa already has. So we don't have to create much extra, there doesn't have to be specifics. It's just, if the state of Iowa has already vetted the safety part of it, if they've already, set up guidelines on that regard, we can just go with what they have and just make it a done deal. But that was the extent of basically that's the extent of it, unless, there's other issues.
So you're saying, as the state of Iowa, I have a residence in another city that has a golf cart ordinance, and I have a golf cart there. And so it's not just during a certain time, you're saying all the time.
Year round, yes.
Year round. Okay, what does council want to do?
Well, I guess I want to say that year round means game day, and game day has to do with tailgating, and we have several golf carts now that are going back and forth with people on game day, which to me has the potential, one of those unintended consequences of, does this push more tailgating into further reaches of the city? does this create issues where the thing we're seeing on with the garage on Lemur would become, because now we don't have to be close to the stadium, would that become a problem around the city? I just think maybe we need to think through this and see.
I do have a policy for the City of Independence here in my hands, and it's a pretty comprehensive review, and they put a lot of thought into it, and it does quote Iowa law section 321.247 as far as what you can and cannot do with the state of Iowa guidelines. It does have to be registered with the chief of police. The sticker has to be displayed. It's an annual inspection, an annual application that you have to renew every year. And it does have to be, on display. And the owner, the driver does have to be 18 years old. They have to show proof. I mean, it's a pretty good one. If we do have the workshop, I would love to pass this around and let you see what the City of Independence is doing. And I think they did a pretty thorough job on covering their tail end, although we do have a football stadium that they don't have, but again, only the ones that are allowed to be in University Heights will have to be, tagged by chief, and they'll have to have the sticker, and they'll have to be registered with the city of University Heights, or they don't fly. You know what I mean?
Doug, do you want to talk about it tonight?
I
The
can.
golf carts?
I can.
I mean, that's the question. Do we want to talk about it tonight, or do we want to put it to the work session?
I would like to put this in digital form or copies and let everybody kind of chew on it, but I do want to move forward with it, and having this as a kind of a template, I think is going to save us a lot of, unneeded fears and concerns that I think these are pretty well addressed through the City of Independence. So if you'd like to look at that first, or we can talk about it tonight, it makes no difference to me, but like I said,
as long as, I just don't want to, I think we can come to a decision, and I think it's good to think about all the implications of any decisions we make and not just ram something through too quickly. Going back to your question, so basically, but fastest best case scenario, we're not going to improve anything tonight either way. And so the question is, can we do something by next meeting regarding this? And then so your point, Louise, is can we meet the 25th? Is that the date you set out to do that? Because I think it's good.
Yeah, it's the middle. It's a Tuesday, and it's in the middle, 2 weeks from here and 2 weeks before the next meeting, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
2 or 3, because the next meeting's the 8th. And I'd like to get more public input on golf carts too. And I thought that's one way. If we advertise it and council talks to friends and neighbors and says, we're going to be discussing some tailgating issues and the future of things. Do you have an opinion, about this that you want to discuss?
So I generally agree with that. I'm on the 25th. I'm not available most Tuesday evenings for the next few weeks.
Okay, so we'll change it to a different night.
I mean,
Steve says I always do Tuesdays because that's kind of what we've done in the past, but I totally understand when Tuesdays don't work.
Mm-hmm.
Steve said once he gets back, he's pretty much available. So we could put out some, I just want to kind of get an idea of a date.
Well, it may be the best of the options. So if it works for everyone else, I may just have to push my other appointment aside or something. But if everyone else is on board for the 25th, we can table the discussion and go then. That's fine.
Well, maybe the 25th works for people, or the 26th. I don't know, later that week. I know we're getting towards, I don't know.
24th works for me. I don't know what the rest of you think. That's a Monday night.
24th works for me.
I could do that. I can do that.
Okay.
I have a question though. How does it happen on game days I mean, there are already golf carts, so how's that happening? Is there
Well,
what's-
Yeah, I think,
Well,
I think, I think technically they're not supposed to on game days.
Oh,
And so I think that's part of the conversation is, well, let's just make a formal decision on this. And so I don't recall the history on whether or not University Heights has disallowed them, but I do know that the state of Iowa has allowed them. However, municipalities have to add it to their rules and regulations for it to be official, if that makes sense.
it does. So it looks like right now we can say the 24th is better. It still work. Did you say yes, Steph?
Yeah, 24th
Okay.
works for me.
Thank you. Okay, let's go for the 24th and I'll check with Steve, okay? And then we'll go from there. And then Steve mentioned different cities with ordinances in his report. And then Doug can send around his information also. And I think it'd be good to tell your neighbors about this meeting if they're interested in attending, to voice an opinion on things. Okay, we'll go with that. Thank you, council. I appreciate it. Was there anything else under legal report, Abby? That I don't think so, unless there's questions by council on any of the subjects. I think.
I mean, there was the discussion about the flag that's been flown around in the city.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think there's anything else.
Okay. And no questions for Abby tonight? Right now? Okay. Thank you, Abby. We'll go on to the city clerk report.
I don't have anything to add other than the written report.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Any questions for Mike? Okay, we'll go to the city treasurer report. And Lori sent that earlier today with the warrants. Hi, Lori.
Hello.
And she has a list of the warrants. And so did you have any additions to those warrants, Lori?
I do not.
Okay. So the warrants are before the council. Are there any objection to paying them? Hearing none, the warrants will be paid by unanimous consent. Any questions for Lori? Thank you. We'll move on to the chief report.
Briefly, just touch on a couple things. You mentioned to Abby about the language on the flags. I believe I've addressed those to maybe not their satisfaction, but at least to their understanding to everybody that has brought that forward to the police department. I did not include in my report the numerous conversations I've had about the golf cart. Steve and Bobby can adequately represent themselves, but I do have reference materials in county. In Independence, I'm sure is fine, but I have reference materials that I'd be glad to share that include the state's code. It is very brief, as well as League of City recommendations, and then the local ordinances in Johnson County from Solon, who is a very basic ordinance, and North Liberties, who adds a few more restrictions in to what they deem are safe operations. So if there's any interest, I can forward those on to all council. I have them in electronic format. Steve Cool had touched on billing and making numbers right. Again, I just would like to emphasize that when I do share services, when I share officers with other agencies or for other special events, excuse me, I invoice at a rate that sufficiently covers all of the university costs. So we might make a few dollars. It's not meant to be a money-making proposition, but we are not losing any money on the overtime that shows up first as being paid out, but then reimbursement comes into the general fund. And finally, I just wanted to touch on, well, I guess on those invoicings. We invoiced just over 64 hours. So that comes out to be about $3,500, for example, just this last month, to other agencies to pay. And I had reason to run our ticket revenue or our Marietta permit revenue. And so far we have sold 24 regular permits, 13 of those to residents and 11 to non-residents. I wanted to make sure we were still manageable and still giving residents priority. In addition, we've sold 8 football passes and an additional 15 day passes. So just in parking permit revenue, we've brought in a few dollars shy of $3,000. So those are the only things I wanted to add just as I was going through numbers today.
Thank you, Chief. Are there any questions for Chief? I didn't mention this, but can you attend the October 24th special meeting?
I'm staff. I will attend.
Okay. I know, but I'm hoping you're around. Thank you. Steph, do you have anything to add tonight?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. We'll go on to engineer report. And Josiah, I see you submitted a report.
Thanks, Mayor. I submitted a report. The first thing on there is the bus landing project that's going on. And Ryan Foley's kind of been coordinating that with the contractors. And I know he talked to him today. So I was going to have him give you guys a quick update on what to expect here.
Hello, everybody. So I did talk with the contractor this afternoon, and the rain today delayed him from pouring today. So he does plan to pour tomorrow, assuming there aren't more thunderstorms overnight tonight, which I believe we're still forecast and into tomorrow morning. But after those pours are completed and he gets those 2 bus landings backfilled, he would remove the other 2 on Friday or Saturday and pour those back on Monday or Tuesday next week. So
Thank you, Ryan.
So that's going well. And we're sort of in this gap here between home football games. We have like 3 weeks. So this is exactly what we were hoping he would do. And I know we talked about last month, just coordinating with anybody who lives nearby to give them a heads up. And we only have one of the bus stops that's right next to a residential like yard. And Ryan did get in touch with that owner, and so they were happy to be updated and given a heads up.
and he had requested the plan, so I have emailed that property owner the plan sheets as well. So he has all the info.
Thank you. Any questions for Josiah or Ryan? Doug, do you have anything to add?
No, I do not right now.
Thank you. Then we'll go to building, zoning, and sanitation. And I think, Tim, you're going to be with the discussion at the special meeting.
Yeah.
The work session.
Right. Nothing else to add, though.
Okay, thank you very much. And Lisa, you sent your report today.
Yes.
And did you want to, well, I think we can highlight the leaf vacuum dates are on the calendar, and also, Halloween times. Did you want to add anything, Lisa?
No, I think it's all there.
Hey, Luis, you said something and it reminded me. I don't know who this would be to make that decision, but with the leaf vacuuming, I remember last year they vacuumed 2 days before the big leaf fall or something, and there was no leaves on the ground. I don't know if there's a way to, I don't know how to gauge that, or just, next time, if there's no leaves on the ground or no one's raked them to the corner, they can push it back a few days or something.
Yeah, sometimes they can, and it depends on the weather, but there are early trees. My yard doesn't have early trees, but that's why there's an earlier date too.
Yeah, understood.
And, but we have a new contact person from Quality Care this year, and he seemed very open to any suggestions, anything we need. Council, let me know if you think something needs to be changed ahead of time, you know, a couple of days ahead of time. And we'll talk to him. Because I know if we only had 4 or 5 leaf pickups, we cover everything like Iowa City, but yeah, okay. Well, help me keep an eye on that, Bobby. I'm not good at monitoring leaves so well, but thank you. Then we'll go to, well, we're not going to have the discussion now on golf carts. We'll talk more about it at the meeting on October 24th at 7 p.m. And I'll just touch base with Steve that that's an okay night. And then we'll make sure everything's on the website, and I'll email everybody the dates, the date and time, and confirm it all. Are there any announcements?
I have a question.
Yes.
I should ask. Who makes up the zoning commission?
Well, it's on the city website.
Is it?
Who makes
okay.
it up? It's appointed by the mayor, and
So it's citizens?
It's citizens. It's
Okay.
residents, just like the Board of Adjustment and the Tree Board.
All right.
And yeah, that's a good question. And yeah. Does that answer it okay?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It sounded like something official, so I was just curious. It's citizens, though. It sounded like some statewide group or something.
Yeah, it
I should have looked on the website.
Well, well, anyway, yeah, they're volunteer people that, you know, 5 more people give a look at it who live here and have an interest in the city. So there you go. So then, are there any other announcements? Is there any objection to adjournment? Hearing none, the meeting's adjourned by unanimous consent. And thanks, everyone. We'll see you tentatively now Monday, October 24th at 7 p.m.